I traveled to Sierre, Switzerland to race in Sierre-Zinal, one of the most competitive trail races in the world. I just made it out to the course and I'm gonna do a shakeout on it to check out the very first section of the course. I've run this race before and the first section is very, very steep. It's just a really, really steep climb up and then it flattens out and then you go down after that. But the first section of this race is really steep, so I'm gonna check out that today. I just raced Pizza Alpine a couple of days ago, so my legs are still a little bit sore, but I'm excited to check out some of the course. Like I said, the first part of this course is very steep. In the first 4.5 miles, we'll climb 4,300 feet, which evens out to an 18% grade. I ended up running 2 by 1 mile at steady state today to get my legs used to the grade, and I felt really good. This race is always really hot, so before this trip, I spent some time training in heat and on steep climbs in California. On this run, I got in a really good rhythm on the climb and definitely felt all the heat and uphill training from California paying off. Since I've gotten into trails, I've realized the importance of training specifically for what I'm racing, and I really took specificity seriously as I trained for this race. This run was so fun because I could finally feel the training paying off. I took the downhill really easy on the way back. My quads were still a little sore from the race last weekend, so I knew I needed to focus on recovery this week and take downhills easy. Today I'm going to the middle of the race course and I'm going to run a middle section of the race that's a lot more flat than yesterday. Still some climbing, but it kind of flattens out once you do the first main climb. The second part of this course is stunning. You finally get out of Sierre's Valley up to Ponchette, where you traverse along high alpine meadows and forested ridges with views of some of Switzerland's famous 14ers, including the iconic Matterhorn. This part of the race is the part people call flat, but it's not actually flat. Miles 4.5 to 15 cover the rest of the 2,700 feet of climbing in the race before the last 5 miles of descent. There are some downhills on this section, but most of this section is run at a 5 to 10% grade. This course is also unique because it's a point-to-point race, starting in Sierre and ending in Zinal, and it's also a net uphill course. It climbs 7,000 feet, but only descends 3,600. The trails in this race are relatively smooth, making this a very fast race. The key to this race is really being able to climb fast up steep grades, but also have enough energy in your legs after climbing for so long that you're able to run fast when the course flattens out and eventually descends. The past 2 times I've raced here, my legs have been gone after the steep climb, and I've had a hard time running fast on the flat section, so I'm hoping that my specific steep mountain training will pay off this year. In the afternoon, I met up with some of the other American runners and we played mini golf on this impossible mini golf course made entirely out of concrete.
No.
Nein, nee, wir machen es nach einem.
Don't nick it.
I like that.
Nice.
It is Wednesday, 3 days before race day, and I'm gonna do a flatter run. My legs are still a little bit tired from the race last weekend, so just gonna keep it nice and easy. So of course, I still always love adventure, so I'm out at an alpine lake that is a flat loop and the trails around this really pretty lake. So excited for a little bit of adventure, even though I'm taking it easy today. I'm running in the Merrell Promorphs today. They're still trail shoes, but they have a little bit more cushion, so they're really nice for these easy days when I want a little bit more support. The views on this run were incredible, but I felt really bad on this run. I had just started my period, and usually the first day I feel like I can't breathe and I have no pop in my legs. That feeling usually goes away a day or 2 later, and I found that taking iron, magnesium, omega-3, and zinc can help me feel normal faster. Staying hydrated and running really easy helps too, so I took today super easy and ran very slow on this relatively flat trail. The next day, I felt much better. I went up to Crans, Montana, which is a town above Sierre and the mountains to run. Usually, I do a pre-race workout 3 days out from a race, and I would take today easy, but since I had felt off yesterday, I used today for a light pre-race workout to keep some pop in my legs. Since it was closer to the race, I didn't want to do anything too taxing, so I warmed up a little, then ran 2 miles uphill at steady state effort, cooled down for a little and took in the views at the top, then took the gondola down from the top of the climb to save my legs for the race. It is the day before the race and I'm getting my bottles ready for the bottle drop off. We have bottle service at this race, which means that at certain aid stations we can have bottles handed to us by the race organizers and volunteers that are helping out. So the trails are a little bit hard because we're up in the mountains, so the aid stations are kind of close together just because these are the only points where there are roads up into the mountains. So the race is 19 miles long, but there are only 2 aid stations where we're able to pick up the bottles, and that is at mile 7.5 and mile 10.5. So really close together and kind of early on-ish into the race, although the first bit of the race is a really big climb, so that's going to take longer just because even though the distance is a little bit shorter, it's really steep. So the race gets faster as it gets closer to the end. Another challenge of tomorrow is that it is really hot. I think it's going to be around 85 when we're starting, and I think the temperatures get up into the 90s tomorrow. So just a warm day to be racing. I really need to make sure that I am staying hydrated. So I try to drink 2 of these bottles per hour basically, and one is going to be filled with drink mix 320, my Morton mix. This has 320 calories per drink mix, so that gives me energy during the race, and I try to drink 1 of those per hour, and then I'm also going to try to drink another bottle of just water per hour. I'm going to bring with me some electrolytes, but I've noticed that I have been overdoing the electrolytes and it's causing me to cramp up. So I'm going to bring a package of electrolytes with me if I feel that I need it during the race, but these bottles are just going to be filled with water. I'm also going to be starting the race with 2 bottles, so I'll start with 2, drop them off at the first aid station, pick up the other 2, drop those off at the next aid station probably, or if I haven't gotten through all of them, then I'll keep the ones that I haven't gotten through, and then at the last aid station I'll pick up my last 2 bottles. And there are other aid stations at this race between 10.5 miles and the end of the race, but we just don't get bottle service at those aid stations. So that is my plan for tomorrow with all my bottles and my hydration plan. Hopefully I can stay hydrated in this wild heat. I don't usually run the day before I race, so today I went for a light walk in town and picked up my bib number. It is finally race morning for Sierre-Zinal. Headed over to the bus that'll take me to the start. This is probably the most excited I've been all season to race, so I'm really pumped to get out there on the course. This race is always a hot one, and today was no different. The starting temperature was 86. One challenge of this race is the start. All the men and women start together, and the race does not do a good job of giving women a place on the starting line or dividing up the waves, so it's very difficult to get in a rhythm in the first mile of the race. The race finally thinned out a mile in, and I got in a really good rhythm on the climb. My watch was telling me that I was climbing the fastest I ever had on this section, and I felt a lot of power in my legs. In the past, my calves have gotten tired early into this climb, but today they felt strong the whole way through. I was around 24th after the climb, but my flat section was not great and I got passed by 5 women. I realized I've been getting so efficient at running steep, but these sections that aren't as steep don't feel as good to run on. My Achilles had also been hurting a little the past few days, and this grade was the grade it felt the worst on. At some points, it felt so weak that I questioned if I was going to be strong enough to finish the race. I really had to fight through on this section. I kept telling myself that I was running the best I ever had here and that the downhill is one of my strong points. I thought if I stayed in the race mentally and made it to the downhill, I could make up some time. That's exactly what happened. I focused on staying fueled, hydrated, and in the race, and when I hit the downhill, I started making up ground. I passed 4 women on the downhill section and ended up finishing 25th and almost 10 minutes faster than I've ever run on this course. If you're coming from the running world but you don't know a ton about trails, I would compare Sierre-Zinal to a world major marathon. So in the sub-ultra trail racing distance, there are a few races, probably 5 or 6 each year, that are really competitive, just like the world major marathons. So I would say Sierre-Zinal is one, Marathon du Mont Blanc, Zagama, the World Mountain and Trail Running Championships, which is every other year, the Golden Trail Series Final, and then OCC is another one. It's technically a 50K, which is technically an ultra, but people count it as a sub-ultra a lot of times in the trail world. So those are kind of the big major races. So it was a huge goal to be able to get in the top 25 in one of these really competitive races. So I was super happy to cut off 10 minutes from my previous PR and 15 minutes from the very first time that I ever did this race. I've raced this race 3 times and I've gone from 44th place the first time that I raced to 36th, I think, and now 25th. So really happy with the progression. And I ran PRs on almost every segment of this race, of the segments on Strava, so that was really fun to see, and my climb was really good, so really happy to see some progression on my climbs, and yeah, just super fun to see all the training pay off. Sometimes in running you have setbacks or you don't reach some of your goals, but it's really, really fun when you see all your training and hard work pay off. It's always so important to listen to your body, so since my Achilles wasn't feeling 100%, I took a little bit of downtime and was just really, really careful with training, but now I'm back at it and training hard towards the Golden Trail Series final. I'm in Colorado getting in some training right now, and I'm going to be doing a Cirque Series race in the middle of training, so watch for a video on that. I've made videos of all my races and some of my training this year, so you can go back and watch my full season if you want to. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more running content and adventure in the trails, and I'll see you next time.